our CEO and grand poobah, Frank Trotter of Battle Financial Inc. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing great today, Jason. It's a beautiful day out here in Colorado. Blue skies, snow on the mountain.
I bet you've been doing a lot of skiing with all the snow that's dumped out there.
Well, I've had a little bit of work to do for Battle Financial, but on the weekends, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I remember just for you listening, I remember Frank said, "Hey, you know what? You're gonna have to hold on until later today because I've got some investors in that I'm having to take skiing. So yeah, I may be a couple hours late. So I understand how that works. I understand how it works in Colorado.
I understand. Well, a lot of people go out to lunch. We just run up to the mountain for a couple hours. So,
That's right. That's the great thing about the Epic Pass. Um, all right, so we're going to take a couple of topics of discussion today. The first one we're going to talk about is the big announcement. And I know Rick has kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I saw earlier in a video just talking a little bit about something we call the acquisition. But I want to step back before we get there and talk a little bit about the process of becoming a bank here in the U.S. and the couple of paths that it could take and how that kind of applies here. So, Frank, if you would start out and just talk to me a little bit about, or talk to the viewers a little bit about the two paths that an entity can take as they are trying to become a chartered bank, nationally state chartered bank in the country.
well, sure. And friends sometimes ask, "Well, gee, how do you start a bank?" We started one already back in the late '90s and early 2000s, and now we're doing it again. But really, there's a couple of pathways. One can apply for what's called a de novo license, and you apply to various regulators, and they provide their approval, but after a significant amount of evaluation and research. And that can take a very long time.
We can attest to that,
But
right?
we can attest to that because we really started this process almost 3 years ago this very day.
Oh, that's right.
One of our regulators, the OCC, was very prompt in replying and said, "Yes, we'd love to have you be a national bank." They would be our primary regulator, and they got back to us and said, "We like your plan. We love your management. We like your capital approach. We like the way you want to invest the money. We think this should be good." The rest of the regulatory process just takes a very long time. We are seeing this with a lot of banks all over the place. Deloitte Touche actually has a fairly large research paper out there suggesting that the de novo process is just almost unwieldy at this point in time. And the other way you can do it is you can go in and you can purchase a bank. Not every bank's for sale. Some banks are too big, some banks are little. Some banks don't have the licensing that you might need. So you really have to go out there and search the country and say what would be the best place for us to purchase a bank where we can continue to serve that community and at the same time do what we want to do in our business plan.
let me
And
let
so,
me let me
yeah,
intercede real quick because I think I've had questions as I've talked to investors on a one-to-one basis. Give me an idea what are the reasons why a bank might be for sale? And I know, and they always ask, are they in trouble? That kind of thing.
you know, certainly there are some, and we looked at a couple that were in trouble. We quickly passed on that. But a lot of the times in the old days, I go back into the '80s with banking, and way back then, you actually had to have a charter for each location. And a lot of banks have saved these charters. Sometimes they want to keep them and operate them separately, maybe with a little different business plan, maybe with a different license. And some of them, they just they know these things are for sale and they would like to sell them down the road to somebody like us who would be interested in buying it.
Hmm.
So a lot of different reasons those are out there. I remember long ago and far away, uh, the friend and I took a trip to southeastern Montana to a little teeny tiny town of about 300 to look at a bank. It would have been perfect. There, a paved street in the community was about 150 feet long, and then it turned to gravel again. But sometimes they're in a big city, sometimes they're in a small town. But you really have to look at the characteristics of the bank. Does it fit what you want to do? Can you continue to serve and expand banking in the community? Can you bring the community something that they don't have today? And then, of course, be able to launch the primary plan that you've set out to accomplish at the same time.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing for for me, as I learned through all this process as well, is that we're looking for a an institution or a branch or a firm that has a national charter, because our plans are really to be a national bank at that point. So that makes total sense. So this, if you would, I think we can specifically talk about, if you want to announce who it is and what it is, go ahead.
Well, I think some of you have been watching and following along for quite some time and noticed that midsummer this year we changed the strategy from a de novo approach to acquisition. And we're delighted to say that we've agreed to purchase Stearns Bank of Uppsala National Association. Now, I'm sure you all know where Uppsala is, or since some of you might not, I'll let you know. That's in central Minnesota. It's a great little farming community, and really a great client base. It's a very stable institution, good loan portfolio, excellent team members, and the board, the external board there, has really done a great job of guiding the institution over the years. It was founded in 1914. It was purchased in 1978 by the current owners, and we've agreed to purchase that from the Stearns Financial Corp, which is the holding company located in St. Cloud. We're excited about this. I've been to the location a couple weeks ago, met the team, got to know the neighborhood a little bit, met the outside board members, took a look at the facility, and we've done a lot of due diligence on this over the last several months. And we think this really is the perfect platform, both for Uppsala and for Battle Bank.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening, if you have not seen the little 1 minute slideshow with music that we put together to show kind of where's Frank's travels, which we'll do multiple times over in the future, but it talks a little bit about showing Frank going into Minneapolis and going into Uppsala. And meeting everybody and all the great things that happened during the trip. So it was a fun little clip. I think that makes total sense. So if somebody has asked me as we've kind of gone through, talk to me a little bit about it's one branch, right? It's a small branch. The makeup of the branch seems like the portfolio of the branch deposits and loans are surprisingly really, really good for us. And tell me a little bit more about that, if you would.
Well, I think the Stearns Bank of Uppsala has really served the community there. It's primarily an agricultural community. There are other businesses there, the trucking companies, car dealers, the usual restaurants and grocery stores. And what they've done is, finance housing, finance cars, finance development, finance the businesses that are there, finance the agricultural businesses that are there, as well as, of course, take great care with the client deposits. And it's a interesting, Morrison County. They're in the southwest corner of Morrison County, up against a couple other counties, and they just serve the area well. This is a traditional community bank, which I love. I mean, my family comes from community banking in small towns. We've all done community banking in our careers, so this is really just a wonderful place to get involved. And talking to the team there, they're seem excited to expand the offerings that they have, provide better value to the clients, continue to make loans in the neighborhood, and expand perhaps a little bit further throughout the county. It's going to be great. And of course, I went to college in Minnesota, so I know the neighborhood really well. I probably know somebody there. The alumni directory is not very good at looking stuff up, but certainly have a long history in Minnesota and looking forward to being back there on a more frequent basis.
Yeah, I've heard really great things about the brand's personnel, and we're really excited to welcome them to the Battle Bank family, or the Battle Financial family, here in the near future. All right, well, let's switch topics. We're going to talk a little about where we've been in the process. As Frank had mentioned, we're 3 years into it, dang near to the day. But I want to talk about, this is a big step. This is like the step to set the milestones. Before it was, hey, we did this and we'll let you know, it's when we're going to get that step. This is the step. the first milestone, I want to talk about those milestones that are going to get us to open doors and going. So if you would take us through that chronological milestone steps from now and what that was all the way to the end of when we actually open those doors.
I'll try to do that. And the real interest here is now we have made an application to the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. They're the primary regulator for their holding companies in that area. So we have applied for Battle Financial Inc. to become a bank holding company upon the acquisition of Stearns Bank of Upsala National Association. And what the Fed really cares about most, of course, is capital, the people that own the capital, the shareholders. And that the business plan is appropriate, that they can approve. That process, they've been running on about a 60-day timeline. It could take a little longer, but they have a different review process in some of the prior applications that we made. It's really focused on a different item. Our friends at the OCC will be involved, approving the business plan and some other sort of back of the house items. And we'll be ready to, hopefully be ready to, once they give that approval, then we can complete the acquisition. As you probably know, we have two lead investors, and this is disclosed in all our documents. If you go to battlebank.com/invest, you can look at those in great detail. But two lead investors, Rick Rule, well known to this community, in the Starwood Group. It's a family office out of St. Louis, family office for a gentleman named Jim McKelvey. Now, you may not know Jim just off the top of your head, but he started a little company called Square. And every time you walk up to almost any counter anywhere these days and stick your credit card in, Jim's involved. And we've had great support from these two family offices, and we're talking to a number of others that might come in on the large capital side. But those two have really underwritten a significant portion of what we'll need to open the bank. Once we get the approval from the Federal Reserve, which could come as early as, let's put a number out there, May 1st, it could come as late as whenever they get to it, then we can go ahead and complete the acquisition. They'll provide us with a conditional approval with a number of steps we have to take to complete the acquisition. Once we complete those, we can purchase the bank. And at that point, the institution is owned by Battle Financial Inc., which will become a bank holding company at that moment.
Now, is that the trigger to being open? Because the branch it just exists, wakes up on Friday or goes to bed on Friday with Stearns Bank of Upsala, and then on Monday does it turn into Battle Bank?
In a way, we will be the owner, certainly. And at that point, we'll continue to operate that bank as it's always been operated. We're going to continue to serve the community, provide checking, savings, retirement, IRAs, whatever accounts, make the loans, collect the loans, and so on. And initially, what we're going to be doing, of course, is installing our own systems that we've been developing for over 3 years. Now, what does that mean? Our chief operations director, Vinny Amato, sort of likes to say that we put all the plumbing in the house, but we haven't hooked it up to city water or the sewer company. So we have to hook it up to the water company and see if that water comes in the door and see if the sewer takes it on the way out. So we'll be doing some intense testing for a period of time. Maybe that's a month or so. And then at that point, we'll make a decision once we are satisfied that everything is working perfectly to begin to talk about accepting new customers. And I think, Jason, you might have a plan for how we get there.
Yeah, we talk about 3 years, 3 years of talking about Battle Bank and Battle Financial. Rick has talked. A number of our future partners have done a great job talking about Battle Bank. We've generated over 16,000 individuals that have been interested or are interested in becoming future Battle Bankers. So we have 16,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. Rick and Frank and the folks about Everbank have talked about the fact that you started with big fat zero in the past. We're starting with a pretty significant head start, which is great. Now, the problem with that, 16,000 people coming in all at one time is going to be a challenge for us, capacity-wise, and more human capacity more than anything. If we have 16,000 people call us on the phone, that's going to be an issue. We don't want that to happen. We want to maintain the highest level of client experience that we're really looking for. So our view is, or the way that we're thinking about planning this, you're going to see a new website come up. and it's going to come up sometime after the approval of the bank holding company application. It might be the same day. It could be a week later. Not sure, but it's going to come up, and I'm going to give you a preview of a couple of pages just so you can kind of see what we're doing. And I hope you're impressed. But after that happens, we're gonna have a time, we're gonna have a clock, and we're gonna have a countdown, and we're gonna give you an idea as to when we're gonna be able, or close to be able, to open those doors. When that countdown is over, we believe we're going to kick off a friends and family time period. So those folks that have stayed with us for 3 years as investors, as note holders, convertible note holders that we're going to talk about in the investment here in a little bit, those folks are going to be invited to come in, friends and family, my wife, your wife, all the family associated with it that have been asking all of us. When am I going to be able to put money in Battle Bank? When am I going to be able to trade metals with Battle Bank? We're finally going to be able to say, okay, let's do it. So that'll be a closed period where we'll get everybody in. We're going to get everybody going through the online application process. We're going to get everybody trading and earn an interest in all the great things that we're really hoping for with Battle Bank. And then when we get to the point where we feel really comfortable that we can withstand everything's going to the right place, everything's coming back to us in the right place, we're moving money like there's no other, and we're really starting to cook on it. I think at that point we're going to open it up to the wait list. Now it could be 2 weeks, could be 30 days, could be 60 days. There's always bugs in new software, as we're working through the testing now. But as soon as that wait list starts, it's going to go a little slower. Again, we want to maintain that really high level of client experience. So we may send out 500 emails at a time. The only way you're going to be able to get to open an account is to get the email in the inbox of that original wait list email that you provided. So we may go 500 at a time. We may do 500 every day. We might do 1,000 every day. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to do, but we're going to kind of limit it a little bit and have make sure that we don't overpower or overwhelm anybody. But at that point, as those folks start coming in, we'll start opening it up. The pipe will start to open up, and hopefully by the time we get to the end of that 16,000, we'll be full-fledged, rocking on all 8 cylinders or however many cylinders you got. So for those of you that are listening, if you have not signed up to the wait list, that is the only way you will be able to open a Battle Bank high yield cash account or a Global Markets high yield cash account to be able to open, buy and sell precious metals and currencies and those kinds of things. So get on that wait list, and we'll definitely be distributing as soon as we can from there. So I think that, does that make sense? Do you want to add anything there, Frank?
No, Jason, I think that's perfectly says it. We want to be absolutely attentive to our clients. We want to have the perfect client experience. And if we can do all 16,000 of you in a week because you're coming in on the online account application, great. However, we know people have questions. And I just want to emphasize something, as opposed to a lot of other companies that are on the internet, I search for phone numbers. Sometimes I search for even chat boxes, and you can't find them. We would be delighted if you would call and ask us a question. Pretty much everybody's going to be on the phone up front, and our client services team, which is an incredibly experienced services team, bankers, people who have been doing these transactions for years, will be ready there to help you. Yeah, I know I have some questions sometimes when I open an account places. So why not be able to talk to somebody directly? We feel that even though you'll probably be dealing with us through the internet on your mobile phone or on your web browser over time, yeah, you're going to have a question from time to time. So to be able to service that properly, we want to let this go out at the right pace. Right. If nobody has a question, everybody comes in tomorrow. But a few people are going to have a question, so we want to make sure it's all going great.
Yeah, and I want to clarify that you don't need to call if you just want to chat. Although you can come and see us anywhere. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're going to be here in the near future. You don't just call to chat, and shoot the bull and all that kind of stuff. If you have a question, we would love to answer those questions at any time or within the business hours. But that is a very important aspect or a key statistic for us, is to see how many calls are coming in to allow us to have some more capacity to send out more emails. So that's great. That makes a lot of sense. All right, let's transition a little bit. Let's transition to the offering. This is the one that everybody kind of talks about, and we've been doing an amazing job since we reopened the convertible note debt offering in December. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're pretty close we're over three-quarters of the way through it. If I'm not mistaken, we're less than $5 million away from our completed subscription goal, and that happens pretty quick. I know that I get asked lots of questions about, when should I invest or can I invest? And I've still got numbers of people that are just asking, how do I invest in Battle Financial? I want, if you would, Frank, take 60 seconds or so and just give an overview of the convertible debt offering, what we do, how you do it, or at least how you get into it, and some of the details, and then I'll kind of follow it up with how to go make that happen.
Well, the convertible note offering is really part of our philosophy where we're building a community nationwide of self-directed investors and a community of people who have some similar attitudes. And one of the ways we feel this is important is this gives you the opportunity to participate. Ideally, what we would love is to have clients that are shareholders and shareholders that are clients. And this convertible note offering is not for those coming in with 10 or 20 million bucks, although we'd certainly love to have that as well. But for just all of us that are accredited investors who go through and download the offering memorandum at battlebank.com/invest, read it carefully, understand that it is a high risk investment since we are a startup. But if it's appropriate for you and you feel it's appropriate for your portfolio, we would love to have you participate. It is coming in on closing in on our goal, but we do need to have all that come in. This will convert most likely at or about the time we actually make the bank acquisition. And at this point, we don't have any plans to extend that offering past the acquisition date. Perhaps that will change, but it's unlikely at this point in time. We'll probably need some additional larger family office investments, which would welcome to talk about with you as well. But this is really your opportunity to come in. And the note bears interest at 7%. That 7% will likely be paid in shares, but we have some optionality there that you can read about in the documents. But and everybody, I want to emphasize that everybody, whether that's Rick, whether that's Starwood, whether that's you or me, will all be in at that same price at the closing of the final capital offering. We don't really have we don't have any promoter shares or anything like that. So we're all in this together, and that's one of our key principles. So that's a quick overview of the note. And again, just go to battlebank.com/invest, download and read, and you can have all the information.
Yeah, for the listeners, I'm going to tease out a couple of those points there that Frank made. And these are the kinds of the questions as I'm talking to investors on a one-to-one basis, and they have some general questions. These are the ones that pop up a lot. The first one is, what does it take to get me accredited, or can I get it? How do I get accredited? And the answer to that is during the process, the application process with our Patrick Capital Markets folks, there are a couple of options. There's a third-party option that they provide to help accredit individuals. We have an internal option if it's needed to look at certain documents that will help prove that you're $250,000 or more in income or a net worth of $1 million. Those types of requirements. So don't worry about trying to get an accreditation letter or anything like that prior to. If you don't have it, we can definitely get that taken care of. The second one, and I think you touched base on it, was I think I'm going to wait for the next one. And my response is it could be a while. So the way I understand it, this is the retail offering for all of us as self-directed investors to invest in Battle Financial Inc. When we open, I think this offering is going to close. So if you think about what we talked about earlier, chronologically, milestone wise, if you shot out a May 1st date, I don't know if it's going to be May 1st or not, but we're going to use that as a hypothetical open date. It's March 13th today. So it's really only about 10 weeks. That's not very long. So well, actually, no, it's not even that long. It's March 13th. That makes it 2 weeks left in March and 4 weeks left in April to May 1st. Oh, wow. I can only hope. Uh, we're going to get there. But the point is that you don't have a lot of time. And it's really, really important that if you're interested, let's get you to battlebank.com/invest. Fill out that lead form, attest that you are an accredited or you believe you're accredited, and then receive the offering documents to review those. The second or the third thing that Frank mentioned, which is really important, it is a high risk investment. We are a startup company. You could lose everything. I'm taking that risk and have for the last 3 years as I've gone into it. Frank, I know you have as well. It also is a longer time horizon. Is there anything else you want to add about the offering, Frank?
I think you've covered it pretty well, and I think obviously the documents rule. If you go download that document at battlebank.com/invest, test that you're an accredited investor, read through that. That gives you every bit of information that you'll need to make a rational investment.
And Frank mentioned $10 or $12 million. The larger checks. If anybody out there happens to have a check with 7 or 8 digits, they absolutely would love to talk to you. I know that Frank and Rick personally will get on the phone and have conversations about the situation. If you're interested in doing that, stroking that kind of a check, we would love to have you come in for that as well. All right. Well, we're going to transition to the last one. So. Many of you have come in through the various conferences, events over the last 3 years that we have attended. Let's talk, Frank. Tell us where we're going to be in the next couple of months. What's the next one up?
We're really getting excited because this is really where we get to talk to clients and hear what they have to say, get feedback, and they can tell us exactly how they feel about being a Battle Bank client once we open the doors. The next one up is right there at the end of March, beginning of April. One of our old favorites, the Investment U conference sponsored by the Oxford Club. We've been dealing with the Oxford Club, at least I personally have, all the way back to 1990 when Julia Guth gave me a call and said, "Can I write up your foreign currency accounts?" I said, "Great." That's the first one out the door. We have Mr. Gammon's conference in May.
Orlando.
Orlando. We have a bit in Boulder in mid-June with Karim Rahimtullah, one of our longtime friends. Karim's certainly been a great analyst over the last 30 plus years. And then sort of our current granddaddy conference, which is the Rural Natural Resource Investing Conference in Boca Raton in July. That is a 4-day fire hose of excellent information from a variety of speakers, a variety of presenters, and you have the opportunity to look at a lot of different approaches, a lot of different investments, and a lot of different people who can one-on-one tell you why we think we should be at Battle Bank or perhaps investing in their mind. It's a fascinating conference. I love going around myself and learning a little bit more about where the holes in the ground are being dug and why they're being dug, as well as talking to precious metals folks and, of course, the Battle Bank team itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just to recap, so Investment U, Ponte Vedra. We're going to be there at the end of this month, early April. So the 3 or 4 days. It's a beautiful area, which is the Ponte Vedra Inn and Club, I'm in Jacksonville, so I'm very close to it. It's an amazing place and love that conference. We'll see Todd Skousen and Alec and some of those folks there. We're really excited about that. Rebel Capitalist Live is in Orlando with George Gammon and team. We're gonna attend that and see what that's all about for the first time. Can't wait. They have some great content all the time. Every time I've heard about this. And then Karim's. We'll find all of this on the Find Us tab on battlebank.com. We'll put each one of the links to the individual conferences if you want to sign up, or if you want to sign up for their services, you can. And then of course the Boca Raton, the symposium with Rick is it's hot. It's July in Boca, but it is you don't go outside very much because it is, like you said, it is content over content over content. And Rick will be the first one to tell you, make sure you write this all down. So there's always the notes and notes and notes. So we're really excited to see everybody. Hopefully you'll all stop by these Battle Bank festivities as we go through, and love to talk to you. So I think that kind of wraps it up. Frank, I think we're getting better at this, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we have it getting it down pretty well there, Jason.
Yeah.
We're going to get this out the door. I'm so excited to be able to talk to clients coming up here when we open the doors, and this important announcement of the acquisition, the convertible note, as well as the plans for bringing everybody here in as a client are really taking shape, and excited about that. And as you might imagine, we're going to say onward and upward.
Everybody have a great day. And like Frank says, onward and upward.